Hello! As promised, we are back again with part 2 of our lovely Alpha or Omega tier list. Yay! This time, it's going to be the lovely Honkai women that we're going to be rating as Alpha or Omega. Same sort of disclaimers. I won't be including minors because that's just not something I feel super comfortable with. And also, number 2, I'm not super knowledgeable about GL Omegaverse stories, so please bear with me. Take everything I say with a grain of salt. If I rate someone differently than you think, honestly, just let me know, because I would love to hear your kind of theories and headcanons about this sort of stuff. Okay, let's get started. First up, we have Asta. Let's see. I mean, Asta is like one of the leaders of like the researchers at the space station. She seems really like lovable, sometimes a little in her own head. Would I rate her an Alpha or Omega? She doesn't really give too much of like a caretaker or like a, you know, headstrong sort of vibe. So based on that, I'm going to rate her as an Omega. Yeah, I can't recall, honestly, too much of her story since it was so long ago. We haven't really seen her since... I guess we haven't seen her since, like, the Doctor Ratio Ruan Mei thing, but even that was, like, quite minor. But, yeah, if my memory serves me correctly, I don't remember her giving much of an alpha vibe. Herta. I kind of like putting Herta as an alpha, because she's like giving like rich CEO sort of boss vibes, you know? I feel like, I don't know, maybe that's just like a stereotype, but yeah, I think I like Herta as like an alpha. And plus she's got like all those like clones or whatever. Get the strap, Herta. Bronya. You see, I actually have thought about Bronya, especially, speaking of which, Bronya Seele. Yeah, those two, I definitely, like, I love them together so much. And I've thought about the dynamics a lot, and I actually feel like Bronya, I don't know if this is a hot take, but I think Bronya would be like the alpha in the relationship. I mean, Bronya is like a leader. She is very, just like, very much giving like caretaker, you know, she's now like the leader of Belobog. What is the Supreme Guardian? She's the Supreme Guardian, right? That's the name. But yeah, I think she just has such a caring and loving and nurturing vibe that I really feel like I resonate her with more of like an alpha. And I think the dynamic between like Bronya and Seele is just delicious. Delicious. Seele is fierce as fuck. Like, I remember her, I don't remember too much about her in terms of like story and plot. All I remember is I thought that she was a badass. But if we're gonna go with like the Bronya Seele thing, I think Bronya would be the alpha in their relationship, and I think Seele would be the omega. That being said, I am totally aware of alpha, omega relationships. For me, I think the alpha, omega, Bronya, Seele just kind of like makes sense. I like it. It's kind of like Bronya is like the alpha that's trying to corral her crazy kind of wild omega, and that dynamic is just tasty. Serval. I honestly don't know any like Serval ships. I mean, Serval is like really, really cool. I really do like her. I love how that she's like big sis vibes, you know, with Japard and Lynx. She definitely cares a lot about her siblings, and she's very passionate about music and things like that. I think I'm gonna put her as an alpha. Yeah, again, just that nurturing sort of vibe that I get from her. It just gives me more like, I'm gonna take care of you and I'm gonna treat you right, you know? I think that's more like an alpha vibe, you know? Natasha. Okay, Natasha. I'm an underworld doctor. What would I put Natasha as? I also don't really know too many ships regarding Natasha, so I don't really know. I mean, Natasha is definitely giving like mother though, you know? She's like a doctor, she nurses people up. Like, yeah, she does have the caretaker vibe, but I feel like I'm more inclined to put her as an Omega than an Alpha. I don't know. I just feel like she has such a sweet, like, persona and vibe to her. It just makes me feel like she would be an Omega. Yeah. Qingque. Qingque is a brat. She's just so aloof. She's a Gamba addict. She's the Gamba gremlin of Honkai. Right next to Aventurine, probably even more than Aventurine. So I really do like the Qingque and Fusheng dynamic, and I do love like their ship. I think it's so cute. So I guess if we're going based off that, and if I had to categorize one as like Alpha or Omega, I feel like Qingque would be more of like the Omega in that relationship, you know? Like a little aloof, a little out there. She's kind of doing her own thing, kind of gets caught red-handed when she's doing things she's not supposed to. That just gives me like irresponsible Omega vibes, you know? Tingyun, gosh, I'm like really having a hard time like remembering so much of these character stories because it's been so long since you've seen any of them. Especially Miss Tingyun, she got her neck snapped. So from what I remember, she was kind of like our guide during the Xianzhou. Tingyun is also one of those people that I don't know too much about in terms of like shipping and like things like that. I'm gonna go with Omega. I can't fully say why, but I think it just suits. It just suits her, I feel. Yeah. Stelle gives me Giga Chad Alpha energy, which is so funny because Kalis gives me like super Omega energy, but Stelle, there's something about Stelle that just screams Alpha to me. And I wonder, like, do you guys feel the same way? I just feel like it's the way that Stelle just carries herself, and also like her voice lines. Maybe it also has to do with the fact that she has like a little bit of a deeper voice, and I think it's just so like, oh, I love Stelle. Don't get me wrong, like I play Kalis on my account, but dang, Stelle is just, ooh, Stelle. In most of the ships that I see Stelle with, I feel like Stelle would be the Alpha. I really do. Yukong, I also feel like that she would be an Alpha. I feel like Yukong is definitely like she's, you know, mother, like literally a mother, but with her story, I'm forgetting her name, but yeah, the pilot story, oh my god, it was so good. It like broke my heart. Loved that relationship and like seeing like all like the fan arts and stuff like that between them. And I feel like Yukong in that relationship would have been the Alpha. Just thinking about it is like making my heart hurt. My poor Queen Yukong. March. We know March pretty well. She is obviously very outgoing. She's very much an extrovert. Very sweet, very kind. Will stick her neck out for the people that she cares about. She gives me more Omega vibes than Alpha vibes, honestly. It just feels right for her, you know? I know March in like Danhong, March Kalis, March Stelle, and I feel like in every one of those relationships, if they had to choose between Alpha or Omega, I think she would have been an Omega in like every one of those relationships. At least to me. Himeko, also, again, giving mother. She's the leader of the Astral Express, guiding us through our journey as the Trailblazer. She is very nurturing, very kind. She give more Alpha or Omega energy. I feel like she's mother, and like, oh, this is so hard. This is hard. Because like, I can really see both. I don't know. I'm like scratching my head. I don't know. I'm gonna go Alpha. Again, I think it just has to do with that like caretaker, nurturing energy that she just possesses. She just has a very commanding, but like not in your face sort of energy, you know? It's like you see her and you immediately respect her. Kafka, I think Kafka is like an alpha chat. She's a psycho, and I love that about her. She's crazy, but also just like very... You can tell with the dialogue between her and the Trailblazer that she's very like nurturing and actually very kind. Yeah, I don't know, it just gives that sort of like alpha energy. Like she's like constantly like checking in on her babies, or like, you know, like things like that. And I feel like that she would like constantly check in with like her Omega and stuff like that. Silverwolf. I feel like Silverwolf is... I think she's an Omega. You know why? She's definitely like bratty. She just gives me like a bratty Omega vibe. Those like text messages you get from Silverwolf are just like so hilarious and so funny. But yeah, I just think she's like a funny, like bratty kind of like Omega. Lady Fu. I love Lady Fu. She's so cool. I mean, she's very strong. She's the master diviner. She has a lot of weight on her shoulders. She's constantly trying to corral Qingque. And like I said, I like that dynamic a lot. So based on this, I'm gonna put her as an elf. I can also see her maybe as an Omega, but I think from what we've seen of her and the storyline and kind of her funny dynamic with Qingque, I think this sort of makes more sense to have her as an alpha. Lil Gui, I mean, she's a firecracker. Her event with Sushong was just so funny. Loved her personality. I mean, she's so like extroverted and outgoing, and yeah, no, like she was definitely like a star in that event. You know what? This might be a hot take, but I like her as an alpha. I love like a good, like funny, happy-go-lucky, like extroverted alpha sort of type, and I feel like she fits that characteristic to like a T. And I can kind of like, ooh, the cogs are turning. She's just like a super happy-go-lucky like alpha, but when she meets her Omega that's hers, like she gets like a little possessive, and it's like, ooh. Yes, Lil Gui. Alpha. Jingliu. I don't feel like I need to explain this choice. She's just an alpha. I feel like a lot of the times with characters, I can see where there could be like both. Like, oh, some people might think they're an alpha, some people think they're Omega because of X, Y, and Z. I cannot really think of a reason or how Jingliu would ever be an Omega. Sorry, that's just me. That's just me. I really feel like she just gives off that like commanding, strong, domineer type alpha energy. I think it just makes sense. Xueyi. Xueyi. To be honest, I feel like we barely saw Xueyi. It's really hard to say. I actually do play her every once in a while. She's one of the only 4-stars that I've like maxed out and stuff. So I do like her gameplay. I just don't know too much about her story. Yeah, I think she's also more of an alpha than an Omega. And I don't have a particular reason why. This is just like my feels after playing her for quite a bit. I'm just gonna put her in alpha. Topaz, my queen Topaz. I mean, we've seen her very recently. Topaz, I really loved her initial appearance, and we got to like really see her role in the IPC. I think she's such an interesting character because it's a little complex. Her history makes her character so much more interesting, knowing how she operates. Just based on like the interactions she's had with like Trailblazer and as well as Bronya when she was trying to persuade her into her decisions. I mean, she does have like I mean, she's obviously a leader, but that doesn't mean that she has to be an alpha necessarily. I think she would be more of an Omega. My gut is telling me Omega. My gut is telling me Omega. She is a very strong, powerful Omega. Hanya. I'm not gonna lie, I don't know too much about Hanya. These two are sisters, Xueyi and Hanya, and I put Xueyi as an alpha. I guess I'll put Hanya as an alpha? I guess? Maybe? I don't know. maybe she could be an Omega, but I genuinely don't really know too much about her history, or I don't really know too much about like her personality or lore or anything like that. I'm gonna keep her as an alpha. Ruan Mei. Ruan Mei. Okay, so we saw Ruan Mei during the like little creations event. So she's kind of crazy. Her wish is to be an Aeon, which bless her heart. Yeah, so she kind of has some sociopathic tendencies and just kind of abandons things that she creates, even though they're sentient and they want her as like a mother, which is kind of crazy. But other than that, that being said, I feel like I would put her as an Omega, as like a distant Omega. I think deep inside you can tell that like there's something there. It's not like she's completely heartless, you know? And she's also just like stupidly beautiful. I love Ruan Mei. I'm gonna keep her as Omega. Black Swan. Ooh, okay. Black Swan, totally an alpha. I think she's an alpha for sure. The whole like Black Swan Acheron dynamic, ooh, so good. She just gives off that like energy that is just so attractive. She honestly might, in my opinion, might be the most attractive like woman character in HSR. Like, I love Black Swan. I love just her character, her design. She's so badass, and I think just like from what we've seen in the story and those like animated shorts and stuff, I think she just gives more alpha energy for sure. Sparkle. I mean, let's be real, this bitch is crazy. Like, she's a follower of the elation path. I mean, we've just seen her say the most outlandish, inappropriate things, especially to like Sunday and Aventurine. Like, holy crap. I feel like she would be more of an Omega. I just feel like she's so psychotic and crazy. She gives me like crazy Omega vibes, you know? Like an actual like clinically insane Omega. You know, it's kind of like the character from Love is an Illusion. The ex that tries to like that tries to kill the main character. I feel like that reminds me of her. Like actually kind of crazy, you know? Robin. We actually haven't seen Robin, really, other than like that one little cutscene with her and Sunday when we first woke up in the dreamscape. Other than that, I mean, we know she's a singer. I think maybe just based on looks, I'm gonna go ahead and put Robin as an Omega. I don't know too much about Robin. I am assuming we're going to get more lore next patch, so maybe that will change. Acheron. Easy alpha. I mean, Acheron is just such a badass emanator of nihility. She's just so strong and commanding and just has this energy about her. It's just like very kind of like calm and cool and collected, but it's also just very commanding, and you can't help but like look at her and like towards her, you know? She just gives off that like mysterious alpha energy, and I feel like the relationship between her and Black Swan is very much giving like an alpha type vibe. Yes, I really like alpha stories, and I think that perfectly fits with Black Swan and Acheron. Okay, last but not least, we have the Queen Firefly. Firefly, I'm so excited to know more about Firefly's story. The fact, spoiler alert, the fact that Firefly is Sam, like, that's crazy. Firefly is so cool. I loved hearing like that monologue on the rooftop with the Trailblazer. Ooh, and like, I mean, everyone cries during the song, right? I think it's just so beautiful, and I think her character is so sick and badass. I'm so excited to know more about her in the next patch. That being said, from what we know, I mean, she's obviously very sweet, very kind, helped the Trailblazer. She, you know, is clear withholding, like, newsflash, she's a Stellaron hunter, she's Sam, she's kind of a killer, but I don't know, like, even though she's like murdered many people. I I love her. I love her. I love Firefly. You see, I love Robin and Stelle. I love them together. I feel like that ship is just so beautiful. Yeah. I think Firefly as an Omega just makes sense. If I put it in that sort of perspective that I was thinking about. Yes. Okay. So we're all done, and this is the completed Alpha and Omega tier list, featuring our beautiful Honkai Star Rail women. You know, this tier list, I don't know if I feel as confident about as the men, but I do feel like there are definitely some certain ships that I'm like, yeah, I totally see it. But that being said, I would love to hear what you guys think. I know in the last video people were kind of sounding off in the comments, and I would love for people to do that again because I'm so curious and so interested in the different ships and dynamics and stuff like that. All right, and so that is it for all of the 2.1 characters. I would love to continue the series with new characters that drop, but potentially I may delve into Genshin and do like another Alpha and Omega tier list for that. So let me know if that's something you want to watch. Alright, so that's going to be it for today. Thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe. I'll catch you guys on the next time. Bye!